Hello everyone and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today I think it is time that we talk about the grind spots. So it's been about a week since the patch where they changed all the AP formulas, the grind spots and everything. So I've done a little bit of testing and I've actually uploaded some of my videos. I'll leave a link in the description to the playlist. So if you want to see any of my data, you can check that out, as well as some of my recent videos actually going over some of the relevant spots and still more to come. So if you want to check out that, you can do that. But today, what I wanted to do is talk about the grind spots, what I think is good, what I think is no longer good. And the way we're going to do it is the same way we have always been doing it. So we're going through the Monster Zone info. Now, you can find this in the game. And we're going to be talking about this in AP order, so like whether you're a beginner or an endgame player. I'll talk about my experience, how much silver and all that stuff, and places that I think is overall good. So one thing that has changed recently is if you're looking at this by default, it'll show your stats over here and like the AP. What you're going to want to do is click this sword and shield button and it'll show you the monster AP, basically your totals, right? And you want to be within the area or above to be efficient at it. So basically what you're going to see, green number good, red number bad. I'm on my fishing character right now, so everything's going to be bad. But ideally, green good, red bad. Fix it all to be green. Okay, so how are we going to look at it? Through lowest to highest AP. And so if you're a beginner, here are some easy spots, and then we'll go up into the AP scaling. So we're going to start around, I guess, the 130 AP area, and I guess that would be, let's see. Well, I guess if you click this, we'll start around 140, or I think it might be easier to go with total AP, but we'll talk about both of them. And the reason why we're starting at polys is because this is probably the first place you're going to start grinding if you're a new player and you're on seasonals. And like if you're a complete new player, this is probably the best way to level up, get skill points, and I think this is overall just the most relevant spot to progress as an early game player. You get a bunch of stuff as well, and you get the Atanus elements, which you can turn into infinite potions. So that's one of those early game good spots that you should go to. And it's, let's see, around 200, 250 effective limit, which is pretty obtainable as a seasonal character as well. I think if you graduate from seasons, or even if you're just full pen to Vala, you're around 250 AP on your sheet. So if you're using buffs and everything, it's probably beyond double that. So either way, Polys is still a good spot. One spot that I have going in next is Bloodwolf Settlement, and this is a 180 spot now. So the reason why you would want to go here, aside from the infinite potions piece drop rate, is also because you can get the orange eyes, which are the Cagdanak, and you could turn those into these crystals. Let me show you. Where is it? This crystal over here. You could turn them into Valors, and these are essentially mid to end game crystals that you could use as well. So whether you use it or you just turn it into the Cagdanak or into the Valor to sell, that's a lot of silver actually. So it's one of those crystals that I think are very good to either use or sell, or if you're just grinding for silver, I think it's also a solid option as well. And yeah, so very easy on the effective limit, or if you're like 180, I realistically think you can get here like 160, 170 and do fine. But if you're over the limit, that's even better. Proddy Cave. Now this spot is good, but I think for beginners, it's a little bit different because you actually have to get there, and that's the hardest spot. So to give you an idea, Proddy Cave is right here. It's a decent spot. The hardest spot is actually getting here, because if you're a new player, you don't have a boat, you're gonna have to get there somehow. So it's a decent one if you can get there. There are sailing quests that give you a boat, but it's just kind of out of your way to the point where I'd go to just polys straight up. But if you just want a change of pace and try something different, I think that one is a solid one. All right, so aside from that, going down into centaurs. Now this one is one that I have not tested since the thing, but previously centaurs was good just because it was an Agris thing. But now that they changed it for Agris is basically good everywhere, more or less nowadays. I assume this is probably still decent, but that does require you to actually grind here. It's not a bad one. I don't think it ever got nerfed, but it's also a very early entry level place that gives a decent amount of silver. So it could still be good. I will test that in the next week or so. All right, so other places for silver going early on is probably, I would say, Shuriken Necropolis. I've always thought the spot was decent for beginners just because you're also going for multiple things. One being the Panacea, which is the infinite health potion piece, one of 3 of them. If you get Spectre's energies, you need it to make your black stars. If you're going for black stars, your second one or something. So daytime, pretty decent in my opinion. And I have videos of that. You can watch that. And now with that Agris change, the trash loot scales a lot differently. So it's usually higher than normal, which I think is a very good one. Let's see, what's next? A lot of these spots are, you could be here. They're not really the best silver, but they have like treasure items. But I just don't think it's worth going early on. And we'll talk about the Dekia versions of these later. So going down here into all these other spots. Now, this is one thing that I did a little bit of extra testing. Now, with the Agris change, all these Elvia realm spots are actually pretty decent now. Simply because your goal is to get the shards, like all 3 colors, the yellow, blue, and red one, and you turn it into the cups, which make accessory upgrades that give like more stats and stuff. So with the Agris and all this stuff stacking, these spots are decent now, and they're like between 2 to 3 billion silver, depending on your clear speed. But it's one of those things where you have to lock in and you have to commit to actually making the cup. So that means collecting all the colors and making it. That's where a lot of the money and silver comes in from. But these are not completely useless spots like they were before, and I think they're actually worth grinding now. And with the Agris change and the cost of all the accessory cups, it might actually be worth doing. It's just one of those things where it's another option you can grind for, and yeah, some videos of that from the old one, and the new one's coming up soon that I just have to upload. Brigadi Den is kind of one of those, if you're going for yellow cups or the yellow shards to make the cups, this is actually one of the better ones. And to be honest, the keys are just, whatever, but you do get a lot of shards of Drain Knights here. And I guess if you like the lunar necklaces, you can get them. That's just more silver on top of everything. These used to be a lot more. Remember when the lunar necklaces used to be like 300-400 mil each? Not anymore, but you're here for the shards, and those are actually really nice to have. All right, Histria Ruins. This is probably the spot I have the most hours in total, because I spent a lot of time here going for my compass piece back in the day. And before, it was about 1 bill an hour using Agris. Now it's I wouldn't say double, but it's more than that. So yeah, with Agris, you're just getting more efficiently, and the reason why you're here realistically is going for the Elton piece. And if you were lower gear, I think this is also fine. Whether you do Dekia or regular, I think this is fine. If you do river rotation for normal or any other in the back, that's cool. Next one I want to talk about, low-key, Kratuga is kind of good now, believe it or not. So the reason why is this spot, when it first came out, used to be really good. Then they kind of toned it down. People were making too much silver. They nerfed it. And then it's just kind of been, an okay spot back in the day. So went from good to bad, and then now it's like decent again. The reason why is because one, you can basically get every beginner artifact before you get Kabuas and the other ones. So you can actually turn these in, or like, you know, alchemy them for those lightstone things. Let me see. Let me show you what they're actually called. They are under here. So like if you get them, where is it? These things, the purified, you get a lot of those at Kratuga an hour, and you can also just sell them. But people have been opening them just because they want to get the new best in slot crystals. And I have a separate video talking about what I use for everything. So now is a really good time to actually, you know, if you want to open them and potentially hit the jackpot. Whereas things like Shadow, they're going up in price. So it's actually a good idea to open it and maybe get something you need. But even if you already have everything and you're just selling them, they're not at minimum price anymore. So you get a lot of them, and you get 1 to 2 per artifact melt. And I mean, overall it adds up. So I think that's a good one. Okay, so where were we? We are currently at, let's see, where was this? Kratuga is 230. You could realistically get away with like 210, 220. But what matters is we're looking at the effective limit, because that allows you to grind effectively. So that's good. Next thing I wanted to test was actually Sakraya Underwater. This spot, I don't think this spot has ever been bad, but I think more people are actually grinding here because you, like, mid-tier players are overcapped in certain spots, like mid-tier grind spots, but you also get the Abyssal Essences, and I've seen people go from Harmony to the Frenzies again just because they're overcapped, and you know, you don't really need to spend 20 mil per Frenzy, so they're using the Frenzies now instead of Harmonies, which, whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know, but people have just been either downgrading or not using like full Harmonies if they're beyond overcapped in spots, and they're grinding lower ends. So that's an option. Tongue Grads are still pretty valuable, as well as you get a bunch of Capra Stones and all the other stuff. So low-key, I think this spot might be coming back again. It is 240, but I think the hardest part about all of this one, or the Underwater Sakraya, is actually getting there. Let me give you a tip on how to get there. So let's say you're at Velia and you want to go grind here. Traveler's Map to Ilia Island, walk until you're over around here by the beach, and then start swimming to like around here. And you know how it'll tell you like where you're at, like which node. It'll change to Sakraya underwater, or the Sakraya zone. And then that's when you escape, and it'll take you to the inside of the thing once the thing changes from Ilia to the new node. And then you just go in naturally and get your thing. So that's how you do it without getting like a compass in or something. Or if you have a character there, just someone's there, just get a teleport. Okay, so next we have let's see. Okay, so we talked about this one. 240. Honestly, these effective limits nowadays depends on your crystals more than anything. So, like, I think you could probably get in under 240, but depends. Do you have decent crystals? Do you have a lot of artifacts with monster damage? Realistic, you can get in a lot easier. So, Tunkuda. This spot used to be a party spot. They made all the 2-person party spots now soloable. The only party and group spots, I believe, are Olins now. And, you know, anything that was 3 to 5 is now just Olins and I believe Upper Gyfin. I haven't tested that one yet. But yeah, Tunkuda now I heard is, you know, decent. And especially the Dekia version. So this one is 250. But the realistic thing you're here for is a lot of embers, and you know that venomous night fangs are also good for Capras, for people who are going for sovereign in the near future. So that is, you know, something you add up, because running venomous night fangs in a group is very good. If you get the flame for your fallen god for your first one, always good. Embers drop like candy here nowadays, so these kind of add up. In terms of lung and red leaf pieces for your Orzekiev, or Zeka. It's not really that good, but I mean, it's a decent one until you can grind Cryptoprescent Thoughts. All right, so first early game party spot, 250, party of 5. The hardest part about this one is finding a group. Can you solo it? Yeah. Is it as efficient? No. Like, if you're gonna get loot soloing it, you might as well just bring other people and everyone gets like 5 times the amount of loot. Well, it's not 5 times the amount of loot, but like normal loot times the number of players. So I haven't tested this one. I've only tested Underground, but as far as I understand, Forest Furies drop like candy here in Upper. So if you need them, I think Forest Furies are on order here, at least on the NA server. Let me see. Forest Furies. Yeah, there's about 30,000 of them. And the reason why they're used a lot is to extract the cups and or use the things to make the Charizard cups. So you're going to need them eventually. It's just the people who need them are upgrading them at a rapid rate. There's a lot of other uses for them, but I think that was the main usage for it. So it's one of them. Okay, next is... I wish they just had numbers, like, you know, you could click like 250 and stuff. It'd be a lot easier. Okay, so next spots I think are good. Bloody Monastery, low-key, a decent one now. It was never bad, but now that the Agris change is like more effective, if you can fast clear and get a lot of bells an hour, you're actually making a lot more trash loot than before. It's still not as good as the other spot, I think Brigati for Drain Knights. You get a little bit less, but it's still a decent amount. Obviously, lunar necklaces are not what they used to be, but you do get a lot of Seed of the Voids and Narc's Lightning, which you've entered to the MPC and make more silver. But I think this is one of those low-key good spots that people don't really test at the mid-game, simply because there's other spots to do. But if you get a lot of bells an hour, it's just like waves of enemies that stack up, and it could actually be better. It really just depends on Crimson Bell RNG. Elvia Orc. So this one I think is currently bugged where Agris does not work here. I don't know if that's intended or not, but you can't use it yet. So yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's the best Elvia spot for mid-game players. I believe this is 260, but this used to be 280, then they toned it down to 260, by the way. But I think getting the effective limit around a 260 spot, pretty easy to do. And I think once they change it back where Agris works, this will be like above the rest in terms of silver per hour at a 260 AP range. And I think even up to like 280, this might be competitive with Hong Lim, but right now you cannot use Agris here. So it is what it is. So yeah, this is a good... This used to be a good spot. Right now it is not, but later on, if it gets fixed, I think it will be again. Abandoned Monastery, Party of 2. It's 2025. Like, if you're going for Dawn Earrings here. I don't know. I haven't tested this one yet, but I do want to try it again. But if you're going for Dawns, cool, free silver. The reason why people are grinding for Dawns is not necessarily for the silver, but if you upgrade them, Tet or Pen, it has a higher rate for the Essence of Dawn conversion than other accessories. That's why they're more expensive. And also, you know, you get a decent amount of them, at least previously before the change. So this is one of the things that I want to test once again. Party of 2 spot, so we'll see. Jade Starlight Forest, we're in the 270 zone. This spot, once again, is back in the rotation of decent. And this spot has never really been bad. It's just the reason why people stop going here is once you get your flame, there's no reason to be here again. But with the Agris change, it has always been decent. Now it's even better. With people, you know, trying out different crystals and lightstone combos, iridescence have gone down, but you never know. If you have extra iridescence, I wouldn't sell them yet. I would just hold on to them until Adania comes out within like 2 weeks from now, I believe, 9 days. And so you never know. In the future, they could be doing better life skill crystals or new lightstone combos. So I would hold it for another 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and see what happens. But yeah, Trash Loot with Agris scales very well here. If you get a Flame or the Embers, still pretty decent. And this Forgotten Witches token, just irrelevant nowadays. But yeah, really decent spot. I think it's a easy rotation to learn. It's like, think of a triangle. Each tip or point of a triangle, that's a thing. Or if you're a fast grinder or you play a huge AoE class, think of it like a square, and every corner there's a pack that you clear. It's very easy to learn. It has always been decent. Now I think it's even better. Giants. This is one of those spots that it's kind of underrated, but I think is actually good. So we're going into the 280 zone right now, and this is one of those spots where after the nerf, when Elvia Hex is gonna inevitably get 100% extra HP according to the Global Lab notes, getting the distos has been changed to the point where they drop more frequently. And you can watch my videos of that one where I got like 5 of them an hour. And yeah, overall, Crystallized Despairs, if you do fail stacking, you could turn them into that. And they do sell, believe it or not. People think that Crystallized Despairs will sit on the market forever. When I did my couple hours of grinding at Elvia Hex, they sold within 24 hours. So they will sell. Bunch of Capra Stones, high ticket, Blessed Soul Fragment. I don't think I've ever seen anyone get it. I think I've seen maybe one person get it. They are not common at all, but, you know, everything else, I think this is an underrated spot for silver. Olins. Olins is Olins. It will always be good, especially as long as people are going for the Rich Merchant Ring. There will always be people at Olins, whether you're at base, Dekia 1 or Dekia 2. You can find a group for basically all of them, at least in 2025 and probably 2026 as well, unless they do something with it. So yeah, Olins has always been universally good for both silver, drop rate, treasure items. Well, the treasure item itself is the reason why you're there. But I always thought that party spots have always been more fun. And like, if you are the kind of person that only grinds for like an hour a day and you're just like, okay, gotta use my Agris again. Trust me when I say grinding party spots, that hour goes by so fast if you're just hanging with your friends or guildies and just chatting in Discord and everything. So try your party spot if you don't like grinding that much. And so in the 290 spot, 1030 effective. This is the point where you should probably have decent crystals, like not super endgame, but like mid-tier crystals where you can clear 1000 pretty easily. All right. With this said, Underground Gyfin, probably the #1 EXP spot. So for people who are pushing 66 and above, this is probably where you're going to be grinding. With Agris now, pretty good. With that said, Forest Furies drop pretty frequently. My video, I got about 200 plus Capris an hour here, and you could do the daily quest to get another, like, what is it, 30 or 40 of them? So yeah, a lot of Capris if you're going for Sovereign. And, you know, the accessory drops are pretty decent. So let me, hold on. I took notes on this one. So let me see. Gyfin Underground is, without Agris, like 1 bill. With Agris, probably up to 2, maybe more. So Underground Gyfin always has been good for whether you're there for XP. Silver, you know, is better now than before. So I think this is worth checking out again if you're burnt out of, you know, Gyfin because you've been there for so long. Other things that I would check is probably, you know, try some Dekia spots. I think that might be good. So I know I skipped Honglim base. I did a video of this before a couple of days ago, and it is just straight up not that good anymore. Like, you're going from 40 something K trash loot to about 25K, and it doesn't feel good. If you're going for all the crystals because you need them for your Karazad upgrades, we'll talk about some other spots that I think are good in the future. And also, it doesn't really matter because unless you're going for specific ones for like accuracy, DR, evasion, and so on. Every Sunday, when the rewards are given out from Black Shrines to everyone, people are selling Essence of Dawn. So the best day to buy them is probably Sunday, Monday. But ultimately, just put an order on, you'll get it within 24 hours, most likely. But if you're just trying to buy them in bulk, like hundreds at a time, Sunday, Mondays are the good days, I think, for everyone. Okay. Sulfur, Dekia. This is one of the spots that I have on the list of grinding to do, and I'll make a video because one, I still have to go for the archaeologist map. Should have done that 5 years ago, but you know, here we are. But what I wanted to do is test this one once again. I think this one in the 300 area, I think realistically at 1100 you could probably get in like 280, 290 with decent crystals and setup. But one of those things I wanted to test again, and I'll update you guys on that in the future. Pilaku, I have a few hours here, post change, and it is about 1 billion to 1.5 billion an hour, depending on if you get debos. Also, you're here for the 2 archaeologist map pieces. You do get quite a bit of other things as well, like Capris is decent, and you get some Black Spirit Claws, which you could sell. So low-key, don't sleep on this one. The Black Spirit Claws, you do get quite a bit of them, so they add up over time. I don't know why Traveler's maps have been going up in price when these have just been in the game forever. I think people are just lazy. And that's why I kind of want to get the Archaeologist map eventually as well, so I just never have to think about this again. So yeah, Pilaku. The hardest or the most annoying thing about this spot is getting to the grind spot. It's on the far of Valencia, which is, let me see, do I have, oh God. Okay, so yeah. So like going over here is literally kind of annoying. You basically go from Valencia, and then if you have a unicorn, you just ride down here. But that's the annoying part, getting here. So yeah. Is it bad for mid-tier players? I don't think so. I mean, you're going there for a purpose, but it's not really, like, right there, so. Next, we have History of Ruins Dekia. I have exactly 1 hour since the post-patch of that. Video coming soon. And, yeah, I still think it's decent now. Like, it was okay before, but with Agris change, it's even better, so. Worth going. If you're going for the compass and you need the Elton piece, I say if you can grind here with 300 or 1100 effective, I think this is a very good spot. I would recommend this over the regular one. Just because it's a Dekia spot, everything comes to you, and it makes things a lot better. So all these Dekia spots early on, they kind of make similar silver an hour just because they're all like tower spots. So like, even if you clear fast, if you're past the cap, like the wave spawns, you know, more or less similarly. It's just, it comes down to which class do you play and how many special attack crystals do you have. So if you are like a sage with big AoEs, you're doing better than everyone else. But if you can do, yeah, bigger AoEs, will always do better. Elvia Hex. So right now it's good. Next week when they change it, it's not good. And I'll do another test of this one once again. So what they're going to be changing with this spot is, right now, you know how they scaled everyone's monster AP up? They did not scale the HP up with this spot. That's why you see people getting like 100,000 trash loot in this area. I got a 93k with 84 maids on cooldown. But I'll do another test on this one. I think after the nerf, it'll still be like a 2 bill an hour spot. I was getting 4 bill with, you know, pre-nerf. But at 2 bill an hour, I still think this is a very solid spot overall. You get a ton of crystallized despairs. You can get like 3 to 5 distos an hour. Those add up. Bunch of trash loot. I think even after the nerf, this will be a very solid spot still. Okay, Crypt of Resting Thoughts. If you're going for Orzeka pieces, both the black and red leaf, very solid for that. Highest drop rates for that, and it gives everything. Debo belts have always dropped, pretty regularly for me, even, pre-nerf or pre-change, I should say. And you get a bunch of forgotten limbo seals. So I think this is the Hong Lim replacement. And you know what's funny? Hong Lim has always been a spot for people who are like 270, 280 AP. But then I get a lot of comments of people saying, should I grind Hong Lim? I am 320 AP. I'm just like, bro, there are more than 2 spots in this game. I think Crypt of Resting Thoughts is going to be the Hong Lim replacement. Just because you get a lot of silver, there's a lot of reasons to be here. What they don't show you is there's a Rich Merchant Ring piece here as well. So basically you're here for like 1 to 5 things. You get 1 Debo belt like every hour. 1 to 3 hours you'll get a Debo belt. That's just kind of a bonus, maybe 2 an hour. I don't know, depends on RNG. But overall, there's a lot of good things to get in the drop pool over here. So I think low-key, well, not even low-key, but just Crypt of Resting Thoughts is going to be the next Hong Lim. And might want to start learning how to do this spot because it has some fun mechanics where you clear everything and then you fight 2 different bosses. You fight Dark Knights, and then what's that other one? The mage one that kind of hurts. But anyway, might want to start learning Crypt of Resting Thoughts now because I think this one is actually a very good one, especially with the Agris change. Ash Forest. I have a video grinding Ash Forest Dekia 2, not the regular one, but I think Dekia Ash Forest is actually in the top 3 most silver spots in the game now. Like, Ash Forest used to be terrible, all of them, from base to Dekia. Now I think this has actually been buffed with Agris, so chances are you might want to try this again. I never thought I'd be here at this spot again. Ever since I got my Pen Debo, like, 4 years ago, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And then they're like, all right, cool. We'll make the Agris better. Grind here again. Is it a fun spot? It's different. I told this before, but I've always been the kind of person that I think environment and, like, visual, like, scenery is actually really important to me. So, like, grinding in Kama Sylvia, Old Alita, where it's like green, trees, nature, has always been a lot nicer than grinding into desert or into caves where it's like mentally fatiguing, where I'm just like looking at desert all day. So actually, Ash Forest is not that bad just because of mental scenery, I guess you can say, whatever you call it. So Ash Forest, pretty decent now. Ezerheed Highlands on the next video or next few videos to be uploaded. This has always been one of those interesting spots. They have buffed and nerfed this multiple times. I think this actually has the highest drop rate for Kabuas, just because people get more trash loot an hour. Limbo seals drop at a decent rate. If you are going for flames and Kabuas, I believe they lowered the rate for flames or embers, but they increased the Kabua, like, pity piece drop rates for the fragments here. So it is what it is. It'll be on my list of videos to do in the near future. It's not as good as before, but I don't think it's also bad either. Dekia Turos. This used to be a group spot, and now it no longer has the group spot tag. So with the change, it's soloable, and I always thought Dekia Turos has always been a decent spot. The embers kind of drop a lot here in Dekia, so a lot of venomous Night Fangs, a lot of limbo seals, a lot of embers. This is kind of a sleeper spot. If you know, you know, but it's low-key good. Dekia Thornwood, have a video of that one, and going into 310, 1180 effectiveness, you do get a lot of rings, and you could turn these ominous rings, if you enhance them, into Essence of Dawn Karazad upgrades. So I think this is kind of a good spot. You do get a lot of rings that other spots you only get maybe like 1 or 2 things, accessories an hour. Sometimes the ominous rings, you get like 5 of them an hour, which is, it adds up in silver if you grind there consistently. Agris is decent. This is the best spot for Capra Stones as well. So in my testing videos, I got about 250 of them. And I've known people who play better classes are getting like 280 of them an hour. So if you're going for your Sovereign in the future, this is definitely at least a 2 bill spot at minimum. Cyclops. On the list of 2 grind, but always has been, you know, it's not the best, not the worst, just kind of when you want to grind something else that is kind of on the low because people don't grind here, is decent. So, video soon. Quint Hill. I heard this spot got kind of nerfed because this one is a different than regular. You know how Black Desert has always been kind of like a zoom spot, like when you're grinding, you're doing circles as fast as you can. Quint Hill, you do that, but there's less enemies, but they're stronger. And with Agris, it has been really good, and that was pre-change. Now, after the change, it just takes a little bit longer to kill things, even if you're past the like 320 limit or 1200. I think it's still decent, but it's just, I think people have been trained to like kill super fast, go move from pack to pack, and now that's a little bit slower. People are like, oh, nerf. And it is a nerf, but it's not as bad as people think it is. So video soon. I just have to edit that one. Dekia Crescents and Dekia Kadri. These are both actually very similar in terms of like 325, 330. Here's the difference. The amount of Agris you use per hour. So they're kind of, you know, I would always recommend Kadri just because it's not in the middle of the desert, whereas like Crescents is in the middle of the desert. Kadri is not necessarily in the middle of the desert. And they both kind of have a very similar drop rate for Limbo Seals. And if you're going, they both have straight Debos and Limbo Seals and everything. So it's not so great in terms of the Ancient Scrolls, but Trash Loot is for Kadri and Crescents roughly the same. Probably about a 1.5 bill an hour for both grind spots, according to my notes. Let me just double check. Yeah, 1.5 bill, both of them. It really just comes down to which one do you like more. They both have unique mechanics to it. And I think it's one of those things where if you want to try something new, try one of these. I personally like Kadri more because it has a red and white circle mechanic. So like when a big enemy comes, you want to bring it to white. And then sometimes the entire circle is red, sometimes the entire circle is white. It's kind of like it keeps you on your toes, keeps you alert every now and then if you just want to like play a color game. Whereas Crescents is you have to fight like, what is that little buff tower thingy? And you just have to be alert and aware of where things are. So Dekia and Ash Forest, or Dekia, Olins, and Ash Forest. These are number 1 and not number 2. I don't think I see a lot of people grinding Dekia 1 Olins. If you're going for the Merchant Ring, you're either doing Dekia 2 or regular. Dekia 1 is just kind of in the middle, where it's just like, I could do either or and have a probably higher drop rate chance for the thing. So I haven't done 1 yet, but I've done 0 and 2 post-patch. Ash Forest is one of those things. Ash Forest 1, you might as well either do regular or Dekia 2. It's weird how they come up with all these spots and then they make the middle one just kind of like irrelevant. So yeah, it is what it is. I have notes on this. Hold on, let me go look this up. Dekia Ash Forest, about like 1.5, 1.4 billion an hour. It also is heavily dependent on Debo drop rate and Limbo Seals. And I haven't done Olin's one yet, or post-patch. So, Tungrad Ruins. If you are going for the Telescope, it's fine. And you can't grind Dark Seekers yet, it's fine. It's not as good as it used to be. So, it also has this mechanic where you... so basically, here's how it works. Imagine there's a group of enemies, right? And then there's one visionary. You kill the visionary first. That one knocks everything down and allows you to do more damage to the enemies. You kind of have to be a little bit aware and alert when grinding here. But ultimately, in terms of silver, if you're going for essences, you might as well just try, what is it? Darkseeker. Okay, so Dokubi. This spot is actually good now. And when this spot first came out, all the way up until last week, it was kind of bad. Now with the aggro change, it's pretty good. This is, I guess, an alternative to people who can't do Golden Pig Cave yet. So I think this one might be coming up in the near future on my rotation of videos. And Dokubi Forest, actually good now, believe it or not. Fortunate Pig Cave. So there's two Pig Caves, Fortunate and Unfortunate. What is the difference? Fortunate has enemies do less damage. I don't know why this one, like, look, this one has a 345 and this one's 340. You would think the Fortunate one would be on the higher scale because this is time limited. So, like, you know, when you see the message that's like the Golden Pig subjugation thingy is open, this is really the only one worth doing because it gives everything, and you get the extra subjugation tokens at the end, which allows you to basically save up and buy or get a free bond of whatever you need. Regular Golden Pig Cave, I really can't recommend it, to be honest. I have some notes. Hold on, let me go find it for a second. So Fortunate Pig Cave, the one that you should be doing, roughly 2 bill an hour. Also, it also depends on how many bonds you get or how many of these, but I say on an average about 2 bill. And Unfortunate Cave, which is the regular one, I believe it is like, it's not significantly worse than this, but it's like less, so it's like maybe like 1.5 to 1.7 bill an hour. So I would recommend just going in Fortunate whenever it's open, and then when it's not, just grind like Dokubi Forest for the other ones, in my opinion. I think those are a lot better. All right, Dekia 2 Olins. Very good. It has been good ever since it came out, and it is still good. You can get your artifacts here, and I would definitely recommend, if you don't have them, start going for them and just find a good group, everyone who is beyond the cap, and you'll do just fine. So it's good before, good now. Dark Seekers. Yeah, it feels the same as before. It requires 340 AP, and even with the change and everything, it feels the same before and after. So this is probably the spot you want to be if you are going for a telescope as well. I believe this wheel one is the one you can exchange a vodkin for, and then the telescope is the unique one. But if you're looking for Essence of Devouring, very high drop rate and everything else. Let me check my notes real quick. Dark Seekers averages about 2 to 2.5 bill an hour, just because it really just depends. But like in terms of trash loot, depends on the number of tide events you get, like, you know, when the thing turns red. Yeah, it depends on that one as well. So there's that. Dark Seekers, if you can grind it before, you can grind it now. Feels the same. Dekia 2 Ash Forest. Check the video that's already uploaded. So what I've noticed was the thing to kill the Gyros that has a shorter time, but all the enemies, you know, they don't hit as hard. And like, I guess if you watch my video from pre-change, I went from 100 to 0 health in like a few hits. Now I think realistically you can grind here with like duo or try Fallen God, and you barely take any damage. So people who were scared to grind here before, you can grind here safely now. And that's also, I would say, in the top 3 spots for most silver an hour. I did 3 billion an hour here, and I think they increased the rate of Dekia fragments. So usually I would get like 3 an hour. I think in my few hours of testing, I got like 7. So averaging 5 to 7 an hour, that's amazing. Yeah, and you get everything else. So all these crystals are kind of irrelevant. The only good one is Stalwart Fortitude, but it's like a low rate in general. So you're basically here for Debos, the artifacts, of course, fragments, and, you know, of course, the trash loot. So Ash Forest 2, very good spot, top 3 in my opinion. And Elvia Orzekia, my recent grind video that you can find on the channel, is very safe now. Like before, this was the hardest spot in the game, and you would get chunked. And I've seen people who have more gear than I do, they would get like chunked in health as well. But this is a very safe spot now. Your health barely goes down. So I think a lot of people should try this. It is the highest gear recommendation spot in the game. Like, it has a very high monster AP. So that's what might not be the thing for most people. But if you can grind it, this is the #1 spot in the game, if you can do this effectively. As a Dark Knight, I haven't been able to do that well in here, but I've seen other classes do significantly better, so I know it's a good spot. And also, Garmoth says that the average is really high now. So this one got better. Ash Forest got better. Olin's has been the same. Darkseekers feels the same. TLDR, I think Dokubi Forest buffed. Hong Lim nerfed. Hex after the change is probably better than it was before. Gyfin, better than before. Jade Starlight Forest is good. Bloody Monastery, would recommend it. I think it's sleeper good. All these Elvia spots in Serendia where you can go for the cups, a lot more silver than before, just because you have to kind of commit to getting them. But if you calculate averages and turning in or selling the cups, it's about 2 to 3 bill an hour. So yeah, like all these spots where you look at shards that you get, if you commit, you're good to go. And all the, what is it? The Dekia spots, pretty decent. So that has been all the relevant spots. If you want to check the link in the description, I have a playlist to all my grind videos. So if you want to see individual spot results, I've done my best to try to talk about what I think is good and what's not. And so you can watch the grind hour and you can watch my rotation as well. And then to show you accurate representations of how most things are done. But with that said, I know this is a long video. I want to say thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic day. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would love to see you come back. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to point you guys in the right direction, as well as I have a Discord somewhere down in the description that you can join. If you need help with gear or anything, I have a channel for that. It's called the Gear Channel or something. And you just post a screenshot and I will point you in the right direction. So anyway, I'll see you guys later. Have a fantastic day. Peace.